Stephen Bourne with the Rye Civic League. We're at the junior high because on Saturday, February 4th, they're going to be the deliberative session, and you're not going to want to miss it this year because we're having the first ever Civic Fest. We'll have tables and food. As soon as the deliberative session ends, you'll get to meet boards, commissions, find out what they're doing, services, police, fire, Rye Water, etc. So that's February 4th. Come to the deliberative meeting as soon as it ends, probably around lunchtime. We'll have the Civic Fest. And also, don't forget to go to the library on Thursday night at 7 o'clock. That's where we've been doing this for a decade now. We've analyzed the budget. Elsie did a ton of the work on it. We're going to tell you the story of what's going on. We're going to talk about a little bit about all the what was it, 100, how many were it? 189 variances from zoning. And then we'll go over some of the warrant articles, give you the background of it. So it'll probably take about an hour and a half. All right, that's Thursday night. Okay. All right, so on to the top 10 proposed budgets. That's $28 million in budgets. There's links. There's over 100 pages of that. With a budget, there are a lot of new positions: deputy fire chief, 2 per diem, full-time DPW, part-time DPW assistant, adding back the program director. RES actually dropped 1 teacher, and that's on top of the land use administrator or full-time building inspector we added last year. The other one too, in the Rye Water District meetings, Aquarian has made a proposal about buy out Rye Water District. There's not more information about that. Rye Water is going to be doing a survey to try to get inputs from residents, and that will be coming out soon. Also, if you remember in October of 21, the Adams Park sewage overflowed, poured into the wetlands. They finally, they understand what happened, why, a bunch of mediations, what are they going to do to stop it from happening in the future. And they also discovered some other things about that. Speaking of pollution, Minnie Messner put out a great article about canary in the coal mines, all about PFOAs and PFOSs. When we did that cancer study report, the epidemiologist Chen said, well, it doesn't matter. There's no correlation between environmental factors and those cancers. Flash forward, yes, now there is evidence that the environmental factors do lead to some of those types of cancers. Also, they've also discovered about possibly around 50% of cancers can be correlated to some sort of environmental impact. So anything above 0, they're saying now is dangerous for PFOA. So there's more on that. I mentioned the variances, the 189 total, 79 were leading in wetlands. We didn't get that out last month. Sorry about this civic news. There's just meeting minutes are not being published. There's nothing select board, there's nothing zoning, there's nothing planning. And with that and the variances that we talked last month about Parsons Creek watershed and all the pollution, there's only one other person that came to the meeting. So 88% of the readings are polluted. If you guys want this corrected, more people got to speak up. It all ties back to the master plan. That group had a 15-minute meeting. They're not going to be at the Civic Fest. They think they're going to miss the deliberative meeting. They're wrong. People got to get involved in that, pay attention to the master plan. That's how we get things. I think I talked way too much.
So now on to a lighter note. As I think we told you last month, it is going to be 3 beach stickers allowed per dwelling starting this year. And a price increase was agreed to, so it's going to be $30 for the first 2 beach stickers and then $35 for the third, and we link to the new policy. Town clerk's office is in the process of moving to a town hall annex, so they're going to be closed for business Monday, assuming we get the civic news out today, which is Sunday. The assessor's office has already moved into the annex. Jackie Grody has introduced a House Bill number 361 to actually get Rye and Newcastle representatives on the Pease Development Authority. The hearing for that is February 3rd at 2:45. We have the link for how you can provide testimony for both in person or online. Rye 400 now has a full list of 2023 activities, and we provide the link to that. And some of the ones coming up recently, I just thought I'd read off here from my phone. One is Rye Reads, Tucks to Everlasting. There's going to be a poetry reading. There's going to be an art contest in late March. And then the first beach cleanup will be in early April. The draft 23-24 school calendar is out if you're interested. There's a very detailed report from SAU 50 on school maintenance, upgrades, and technologies that you can also take a look at. With that, I'm going to hand it back over to Stephen.
Thanks, Elsie. All right, so we're at the junior high. Have you ever wondered why the junior high is on this piece of property? Stick around, and Alex Herilhy is going to explain all that.
Hi everybody, for our latest historical site in Rye, we're standing on the Rye Center School property. Now, this all started back in the 1800s with a wooden school over at Grange Park, the triangle of Wallace and Washington Road. But that either burned down or was torn down. In the early 1890s, they built a beautiful big brick building behind me where the playing field is. That was called the Wedgwood School, so they must have gotten the land from the Wedgwood family over at Wedgwood on Lang Road. And then they doubled the size of that sometime early in the 1900s. But in the winter of 1932, that building exploded. Well, the boiler blew up, so it burned the wooden part of it and was left with a brick shell, so they tore it down. And then they bought the land where the junior high is today from Anna Parsons, who lives in that house just beyond the school, right on the corner of Lang Road. So she sold that land, and they built, well, you can see the cornerstone says 1933, but the building actually opened in 1934, and it was called Rye Consolidated School. So it took the kids from the center school, the east school, the south school, and the west school, and they all came here to this grade school, 1 through 8. No junior highs in those days. And almost immediately, of course, it was overcrowded. And then they added on in 1949, and the gym in 1966, and the big monster edition in 1997. But we're not done yet, because over the years in the 1900s, my father donated some land, I know, and then in 2016, when you look out where the goalpost is, that's the Wedgwood land, they call it, and myself and my neighbor in the school worked together, and we prevented a house lot from being developed. And through a purchase and fundraising and land donation, the three entities, myself, my neighbor, and the school, were able to get 2 acres of land for the school outdoor education. And that, of course, is what they call the Wedgwood land, because it's adjacent to Wedgwood House on Lang Road. And that's how all this great school property came to be. And of course, Parsons Field is part of it, isn't it? Because the school gets to use that. So in a way, it's almost like an extension of it. So that's a brief history. I've got a lot more details on it if you want it. And thank you.